In edit mode, you can select any plane, and if you do shift D and right click, it will snap back to the same position, but you will have two different planes and you can edit them as usual. These are different planes though. Those are different planes, that is not same plane. So right click, shift D and right click. So this can be used for symmetrical objects, if you want to draw something like car, if you want to model something like car or any symmetric object, so it will be very much useful. Now people might ask that we can do inset and everything. Yes, you can do that, but this is basically bringing out the duplicate plane of that particular shape so that we don't have to add plane and do the operations. With annotate option, you can actually draw and you can show your ideas like this. So you will be actually drawing it in 3D space. With right click, you can erase it. So if you long press it, you will have option to draw straight lines, you will have option to draw polygons, and you will have option to draw freely also. So polygons means basically straight line, you can close it like this. And if you long press it, you will have these options, and last option will be erase, but erase can be done with right click also. If you want to change the color of your pencil, you can directly go on the top here and you can change the color. You can easily change the color. You can also increase or decrease the strength of the brush. If you press N, you will have much more options now. First thing is placement. If you do placement to the view, you can just draw it to the view. The whatever you write to annotate, it will be constant. And if you do it on the surface, now this will be game changing for engineers who want to draw on the objects and show their ideas. So this is very helpful. So as you can see, I'm drawing and it is coming on the surface of this cube. So for engineers, architects, you can use this option. If you do shade smooth to this cube, nothing will happen obviously. If you do shade smooth to the sphere, nothing much will happen. But if you do shade smooth to this object which is beveled, you'll see this blackish thing happening here, which is very weird. So in order to remove this, you go to vertex group and come here to the normals and click on the auto smooth. If you do that and if you do shade smooth, that's gone. So you might have objects like this where it is beveled and it will have this blackish effect. So that blackish effect will go away with auto smooth. Control C and Control V will come handy in this case, because if you want to copy and paste the exact color value in the emissions, we just have to copy and we just have to paste, just like that. Control C and Control V. So in this case, you won't have to do the guesswork of choosing the color. We have this plane, we're going to subdivide it into 10 times. Once you do that, we're going to go to the select at the top here and select checker deselect. So checker deselect will select the alternate planes or any alternate thing so that you can edit them as per your requirement. So checker deselect will basically select the alternate option. Now let's go back to select and select random. So randomly it will select the planes and we can edit them like this. So checker deselect will do it alternately and random will select randomly. Let's learn about creasing. So I have a cube. I'm going to give subdivision surface modifier 4 times. So 4 level, and I'm doing shade smoothing. So right now it appears like a ball, but it's a cube. If you go to edit mode, if you select the plane, if you press shift E, then you will have a crease like this. It is not limited to just plane, but look at this. It will have the boundary of a cube, but it will have the curves, which is difficult to model if you go to the simple way, the basic way that we do. Now you can also select the edge and you can do shift E and you will have this sort of effect. So you can play around. This is called creasing. Just shift E, select the plane or edge and do shift E. And we have turned the cube into this pillow sort of object. Now let me show you a few more options. You can actually select the plane and you can also do extrude. So it will have this sort of effect. So you can play around with this. This is very interesting too. You might have objects under some objects, and if you want to show it in a different way, what you can do is there's something called as clipping borders, and you can activate it with Alt B. If you do Alt B and if you draw like this, you can see. So there was a UV sphere and icosphere within this cube. You can also edit them in edit mode and you can do the operations, but generally people use it in animation to show the inside of any object. So you can have any object within this and you can use this command. Here is another way to do a quick wireframe. Select everything in edit mode, right click, and here you will see wireframe. From here you can change the thickness and you can also change the offset. So once you are happy, you will have this wireframe in your object. You can obviously do it with the modifier as well, but here is a quick way. This is a small example of how you can bevel any loop cut. So let's give a loop cut, and if you select this, you can do Ctrl P and you can bevel it, and then you can extrude along the normals, so you can have such effects. Let's say the bottom part of this glass is selected and you want to select the other part, so just simply press Ctrl I. So the entire other portion of this mesh will be selected, so the upper part of the glass will be selected. If you want to select the bottom part again, then just press Ctrl I. So Ctrl I is basically inverse selection. You can actually color these objects in edit mode. Let's see how to do this. You go to this drop down option here. If you select random, all the objects will be selected random and will be given some color. So right now, let's say if I bring new object, it will have some color. But if you want to give a single color to all the objects, you click on the single here and you can choose any color from this color wheel and you can just give them the color. Let's use deleting and dissolving edges for your advantage. So right now, let's say I'm selecting this edge, and if I am pressing X and I am deleting the edge, so you can see that there will be a void like this. But if you dissolve it, same, there is an option of dissolve. If you come down, now you can see this, the edge has gone but the planes are still here. Now let's do it again, and if you can see, now this is something that you have to decide whether you can delete it or you can dissolve it. Will give certain result to your project. I'm going to add a text here. Now if you go to edit mode, you can actually type whatever you want. So let's say if I type Blender here, and if I go back to object mode, right now I cannot do anything unless I convert this piece of text into a mesh. So this is, we can do it by going back to object mode, convert, and convert to mesh. Now it has planes and it has vertices. Now we can go to edit mode, we can select everything and we can extrude it. If you want, we can actually perform all the operations that we can in edit mode. So basically you need to convert your text into a mesh in order to perform any operation on that. So I have this plane. As you can see, we are in edit mode and I want to know the shortest distance between two planes. So what I'll do, I'll just press Ctrl and I'll press that final plane, so it will automatically move me to the shortest path. Now it is not limited to just one plane, we can move around from one plane to other plane and it will have something like this. Now once you are happy with this, you can do other operations. Let's look at the snap tool. So if you click here and if you see, you can see increment. So let's see what increment does, and you have to switch on this magnetic option. So this cube will move in this, the background squares that you see, it will only do the increment within those square. If you do absolute gridding, then it, instead of moving into the bigger squares, it will move into the smaller squares. So so it will have much more precision this way. So this is the meaning of absolute grid option and the normal without absolute grid option in the snapping mode. Let's fix this bevel issue. So if I select these three edges and if I do Control B to bevel it, you can see there is a triangle here, right? Go to meter outer here and click on arc, so you will have arc sort of thing. Now it is not visible right now, so let's increase the segments. So the moment I increase the segment, you can see there is a much sharper finish. If I switch it off, it will have this triangle. And so meter outer, if you do it to arc, you will have a beautiful smooth curve at the corner. If you want to give similar material to other objects, you just click on that material, grab it from here in the materials panel and just drop it just like this. It's as simple as this. You grab it and drop it, drag. Now let's give a blue one. So you just need to drag and drop the materials, as simple as that. Now the good thing is, if you want to change that the first material, all the others will have the same effects. Sometimes it just might happen that your object is way too off and you don't know what to do, so you just press N, and in the location and rotation you just put everything to 0, so the material will come back, the object will come back to its original position. So we are bringing everything to 0. This one is very handy and very useful. So if you want to move any vertex, if you normally do it, it will just slide away, but if you press GG, then it will slide along the edge, so you will have control over the movement of the vertices, just like this. If you just grab it and if you just press GG, it will move into that direction. But if you do GG plus C, then you will have something like this. You can slide along this edge. Let's say if you had something like this arrangement, then you can do GG plus C, so that it will follow the direction of that edge. In this particular case, let's go to edit mode and select the vertices. Now if you want to select the alternate vertices, you don't need to go one by one. There is a better option. Just select 2 and just press shift control plus 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 plus, so it will select automatically, it will select the alternative. And if you go to shift control minus, it will deselect everything. It is true for planes also or edges also. You can use this method, shift control plus 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 or shift control minus. In this case I have skipped 2 planes, but still this command will work, shift control plus and shift control minus. Let's go to edit mode. Now in the selection of planes, if you want to select horizontally, you just have to click the vertical line of this plane. So vertical line, if you want to select the vertical plane, select the horizontal line, so it will select vertically. So you just need a little bit of understanding. If you want to do horizontally, select the vertical line, vertical edge, and if you want to do vertically, you can select the horizontal edge of this particular plane. Another way to make holes is in sculpt mode. So from here we'll go to sculpt mode, and here if you come down at the bottom, you'll see box trim. So if you click on this option, you will have this brush and you can actually draw this kind of squares and rectangles to make simple direct holes like this. This is one of the most easy way. If you long press it, you can actually draw a lasso also. So like this, you will have the option to draw lasso and you can make holes like this. Let's do some weird stuff with spin tool. I'm just going to show you something. So if we use the spin tool, you'll see the option here in the operator panels of steps and angle. So we're just going to change the steps, and we are going to change the angle. So you can see the cube itself has spinned within the same axis, and you'll get some sort of this sort of weird symmetrical sort of object. So you can play around with the steps and angle, but if you move it around from the 3D cursor, you will have a different result that we have covered in the spin tool. But there is much more you can do. You can again change the steps and angle, so you'll have something like this. I mean, absolutely the geometry is not good, but this is just for the fun part. When you have big projects, the space might not be enough. So in that case, you can use the entire space by pressing Ctrl Alt and spacebar. So you'll have this entire space with you. You can do it, edit it, whatever operations you want to do, you can do it. So you can also do this another way. You can go to View, go to Area, and you can click here, toggle full screen area.